Technology, huh?
This is amazing. Right, we are now live with the Jetman himself. We have Yves Rossy, all the way from Switzerland. Is that correct?
Yeah, I am from Switzerland, but I'm coming from Dubai.
You're from Dubai. How long have you been in Dubai?
Now it's 1.5 years that I'm resident there because of the project.
Have they claimed you?
No. I'm so happy that they did welcome me so warmly there. Because, you know, I did try to find support in Europe, in America, and the first reaction was, oh, whoa, complicated and kind of crazy and so on. And in Dubai, it was just the opposite. Yeah, it's interesting what you are doing. Come. And that's a very young country. And that's also a very young spirit, very open-minded. And it's Dubai. Our sponsor is also trying to promote that fun, young image of Dubai. Kind of everything is possible there. And it's like this. And really, I'm happy that they could take me under their wings.
Well, we're very excited to have you here live in Cape Town. What actually brought you to Cape Town?
That's the sport show, that Cape Argus sport show. Stefan, he came to Dubai to present his project. Also, yeah, it would be great if you could fly at the sport show. And it was 8-9 months ago. And the plan was to fly at the sport show already. And unfortunately, because of the authorization, organization, and so it was a little bit complicated this year to fly at the sport show. So we thought we come promote a little bit the event this year. We look at Table Mountain.
I'm listening.
Okay.
Yes.
Because it's very iconic place, beautiful. That's the first time I come in Cape Town. It's really, wow, a mix of nature, city, rocks, sea.
Isn't it fantastic?
It's beautiful.
So does Dubai have competition?
It's not in competition. Dubai is a kind of artificial, crazy things because of these buildings. Here, that's Mother Nature that did build that crazy thing.
Not too bad.
And you cannot put man in competition with nature.
Well, funny you should say that, because you are known as the Jetman for a very good reason. You have tried to make human nature out of a man by being a bird.
Yeah, but that's interesting because I'm not in competition. I'm just a privileged guy that can play with Mother Nature for some small moments. And that's the approach that I have to this that makes that I'm still alive. If you go like an invader in the nature, you are too tiny. You have just to come in front of nature, very humble, and very just asking, please, may I play here for a few moments because it's so beautiful, please. And when you come like that, showing respect in front of nature, I think that's the right way, and up to now, I think personally that's why I'm still alive.
Well, that's always a good thing. But now I want to trace back a little bit. You started off, you finished school, and you became a mechanic. Is that correct?
Yes, I did an apprentice as a mechanic. Machines, lathes, reels. Yeah.
You did cars. You fixed pretty much whatever came into the workshop.
Yeah.
And then something changed that needed your skills somewhere else. What happened?
So I was 13, so before to become a mechanic, it was already in the school, I was really amazed by these fighter jets. I was at an air show, and it was the good old time when the airplanes could overfly the public. And
without clearance, they could go very low.
Yeah, very low speed and sound. It was really impressive, you know. And the aerobatic team of Switzerland, the Patrouille Suisse, they did the demo, and at the end, the solo, went, you know, almost supersonic, just subsonic, very fast. So you see just a point coming like that, and the next second pass over your head, a noise like crazy and like that, and a few seconds later disappeared behind a mountain. So, wow. I
That had you hooked.
Yeah, I was hooked, like
Uh-huh.
you say, by, hey, I want to be in a cockpit like that. If the emotion should be so great, I'd like to go there. And since there, it was kind of my motto of life to become a pilot.
But then how did you get to being the pilot from 13 years old?
I did study, I did my homeworks at school, so I was kind of a good student at school. And then as I was more interested by creating things, and so I went in an apprentice as a mechanic instead to go in a, university. And then I did apply as a pilot aspirant in the Swiss Air Force and did pass the selections. So I was 18 and 19. You do first kind of pre-military courses where all the instructors are looking your character, your abilities to fly, your abilities to be with others, and selection really. And thereafter, with 20, I did enter as aspirant pilots in the Swiss Air Force. Again, selection, many. That's about 1% of success.
Wow.
So it's okay. You have to
So
have
you brought that X factor. You definitely had that X factor when you went to apply.
What did I have to lose? And that's also something that if I can pass, I'm 57 now. It's kind of
21 plus that. Yeah.
Yeah, that means you have nothing to lose to try to go in a selection. Okay.
But what's the worst that can happen? They say no.
You can learn something. Okay. And if they say no, you have tried. So pass to another thing, but you have tried, and that's important. For me, it was important, and I went in that formation, that profession, and these tests like that. Okay, I've done everything I can do at my level. So if I pass, good. If not, I have nothing to regret. I've done everything.
But then you moved from fighter pilot onto something a little bit bigger.
Yeah, fighter pilot. That means the Swiss
Air Force.
The Swiss Air Force, and as a military pilot, you cannot go out of your country. We are a neutral country, and it would be kind of aggression to go in a neighbor country. So Switzerland is small, and I wanted to open a little bit the horizon. Okay, and I had the opportunity to go in the airline, in the Swiss airline, and that's what I did.
Wow.
Yeah, and I became an airline pilot.
How many hours have you been flying? I'm sure all pilots count the number of hours that they do. Yeah. How many hours have you done?
I don't have the very precise number.
I mean a ballpark figure.
About 10,000.
So you've earned your wings.
Yes, the one I've registered are the hours on the Mirage supersonic fighter. It's a beautiful machine.
How fast does that fly?
2,400 kilometers per hour, Mach 2.2.
That is fast.
That's fast. That's about the speed of a bullet of a gun.
Wow.
So it goes fast.
How does it compare to the Bloodhound? Do you know about the Bloodhound? The car that's going to be driving in South Africa and hopefully next year?
Yeah. With our colleague Green.
Andy Green?
Andy Green, yeah. It's a great project. And he will be 1,000 miles per hour. He will try that in 1,600 kilometers per hour. And a Mirage, but it's high in the stratosphere that you do that speed.
Yes.
He will do that on ground. That's a big difference of air drag, and so it's much more difficult to fly at these speeds low than in the stratosphere. That's big difference because of the density of the air.
is Jetman considering maybe when you come next year to race the Bloodhound in Kimberley? I mean, that would be
No, no.
quite exciting.
This is the fuselage. Okay, so it's solid, but there are limits. That means already now we have a maximum speed. We did measure level flight about 330 kilometers per hour. And I can tell you, when you have a helmet on your hand, at that speed,
the force is quite hard on your head.
And you have the helmet because you are laying down like that in the air, and the head a little bit like that. That means the momentum on
your neck, it must be very tough.
It's kind of heavy for the neck. So we don't fly these speeds regularly. Just before loop, for example, when you take speed, yes, you have that speed because you want energy, but it's only for a short period of time. And afterwards, okay, you are slower. Or, for example, with the A380, we were on only 250 kilometers per hour.
Sure. But now, from what I can gather, you went from a pilot in the Swiss Air Force to becoming a commercial pilot for Swiss Air, and you were a pilot for how long?
Oh, long. I did start that 7 years ago.
Okay, so for quite a while you've been flying all over the place, but in your mind you were thinking, and only people would, like pilots would think this, what would it be like if I could actually be outside? So you obviously must have got into jumping out of aeroplanes with parachutes and that type of thing as part of the Air Force.
Nope.
No?
Nope.
So then when did this all start?
Because parallel to my passion to fly as a fighter pilot, airline pilot and so, I did also kind of activities like hang gliding, paragliding, and when I was 30, I did discover skydiving. It was...
I like how you discovered it, yes?
Yeah,
because it's now obviously a passion of yours.
Yeah, and it was kind of second flash like I had when I was 13. It was kind of when I did see that airplanes coming in front of me like that. It was kind of second flash when I did discover free fall. Free. Because in an airplane you are in a fantastic flying machine, but that's a box. Compared to water, you're in a submarine. Okay? It's a closed box. You are twice the speed of sound, but you are in a machine. When you go out of an airplane at 4,000 meters and you free fall, you go out like that, take a position that is stable, or you put yourself in a position like these ski jumpers, so that you have kind of, you steer your body in the air in that position, and you go forward. Especially also when you have a friend of yours coming close to you and doing the same, you have really the feeling you fly in formation. I did fly in formation in the army, in the Air Force, okay? And suddenly I had exactly the same feeling in the air like that, completely free, just with a little backpack that is a parachute on your back, almost naked like that. Same feeling as in an airplane. Unfortunately, physically you are still falling. Okay, it's vertical and very short. After 45 to 50 seconds, you have to open your parachute. So the idea came, would be great to keep these fantastic pure emotion of free fall, change the vector, and fly longer.
But now, that's not such a simple thing to do, because I know I've seen video clips of the guys who've got these wingsuits, and they jump from cliffs, and they literally are flying, doing some very crazy things between rocks and things that in my opinion, is a little bit risky. But maybe they might say, well, these are the skills that we have, and we can handle it. But you're talking about building a set of wings to prolong your experience. So with your mechanical experience, you obviously decided to put those ideas together.
Yeah, I did put existing things together. That means there are not so many ways if you want to fly, because we don't have feathers, and we know now, after 100 years of aviation, that what function to fly is a wing. It could be a wing of feather. If you look the profile of a wing and the wing of a bird, it's exactly
very
the
similar,
same profile.
But also
Works,
the high pressure over low pressure,
exactly.
and that organizes the lift and the drag.
Same principle. And as we don't have the pectorals of pigeons, we would have pectorals like that. It doesn't function to do that. So we need a rigid thing. And aerodynamically thinking, the best position to go in the air is with the less surface in the air. That means laying down below wing. And that's how they put together.
Now, we are going to spend some time looking at the wings because you bought a replica. But now, as a maker, someone who's designed, you've been involved in the process from the beginning, building those wings up until where they are today. Are you still adding and enhancing as you go along?
Yes, yes.
So now, that first time you built them, you thought to yourself, well, now I've built these wings, let's just jump out of an airplane and see how it works.
Yes, and exactly. But step by step, it was not like that the first time. First, again, I'm an aviator, and there are some principles in aviation now with 100 years of experience. If you don't follow these principles, you kill yourself.
Okay.
So when you go in the air, you should have a plan B. That's one of the basic things. You have two engines on an Airbus A320. Why? Because if you lose one just after takeoff, the second one is your plan B. It's strong enough to continue the takeoff, go on the circuit, and land safe. Plan B works. Even sometimes plan C. If you have on a 4-engine aircraft, you can lose one, even two, continue to fly.
Could you fly without any engines? Could you glide?
Yeah, you glide, yeah. And that was also the step-by-step development that I did. It was not the idea, hey, I want to do loops like we do now. It was, hey, I want just change the vector. And to change the vector, it was first, okay, gliding. So put something on your back that permits to stay longer in the air. And that's what I did first with something that was made in one day in my garage. Okay?
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
1.40 m, you know, you cut with the saw a piece of wood. Around that piece of wood that has about a delta form, it was 1.40 m span. Huh?
Yeah.
You put some foam, then you cut the foam with a hot wire with a aerodynamic profile taken from the modelist. You know, they are building exactly the same airplanes, model airplanes like that. You take a hot wire in the foam, and then you have your profiles. You put some paper on, some paint,
and fiberglass, and
even not fiberglass because the forces are not so big. So just how do you say? Yeah, paper with it's resin, kind of resin, just resin like that. You polish that, and then it's enough. Very simple things.
How did it feel when you'd made that and you went to go and test for the first time?
You have the plan B because before to develop that wing, I did develop a harness. Because I'm also not the first one that was trying this. In the 50s, no hang gliders, no paragliders. The only flying men were parachutists. And for example, the French guy in the late 50s, he did fly with a wing about similar than that, with a harness that he couldn't drop. Okay, with foldable wings, he did hold these two wings like that, and bam, did open at the exit, and he did fly like that.
Wow!
And unfortunately, they didn't have the mini cameras that we have now. They didn't have YouTube. So to show themselves in their activity. They had to go in air shows, but if you go at 4,000 meters, nobody sees you. So they did exit airplanes very low. No time for plan B. No time for plan B, like same as that's a killer. And unfortunately, most of them did kill themselves during their activity. And then came hang gliding. It was so simple to, a few steps and okay, you fly. But it was much bigger. Yeah. Okay. And again, with a steering trapeze. Yeah. So it was again, you give an input to a machine that you follow. And as these guys did the mistake not to have the plan B, I thought I create first a harness, and still now we have a handle here that at any time if we are in trouble, completely out of control of the flight, we can pull. Okay?
And then that drops the wings.
Yes, the wing is released. There is a rescue parachute for the wing. It does cut the engine, cut the fuel, cut the batteries, everything. That's an inert wing that goes by itself on ground. And I'm still a normal skydiver with 2 parachutes on my back. So the safety level is quite high. Okay, even we have a safety device that is called Cypress. That's an automatic opener of your reserve in case of unconsciousness. If at 250 meters ground, that's 5 seconds before impact, I haven't pulled any parachute, that means I have a rate of descent that is superior than 35 meters per second, it opens the reserve. So you imagine I drop the wing, I'm unconscious, I would survive that case. So really that's a safe thing that we are doing.
So clearly you're not a daredevil per se, because a lot of thought and safety comes into everything first.
That's in any airline. Well, safety first.
I don't know, there's some people who take greater risks that and put fewer safety features in there for the wow factor, and I think that's because they want to get more YouTube views. Okay, that's clearly not your motivation.
No. The motivation is to have fun, not fear. Fun, and to stay alive.
But now you're not the only one who's doing it. It's now not the Jetman, it's the Jetmen.
Yes.
So you've brought someone else on board to do this with you.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about him?
Yes. My first student, Vyes Rossy, we did meet in Ampolla Brava. It's in Spain, a drop zone, that's the biggest drop zone of Europe. And he was training in his domain of activity that was competition in free fly. That means free fall, but in every position like that. I was developing my wings and testing my wings also there. He became 3 times world champion in free fall. He has now 16,000 jumps. Okay,
that's a lot of jumps.
That's a lot, and that's also very interesting because he has kind of feathers instead of the fingers. Compared to me, that I'm a very experienced aviator with thousands of hours on airplane, but he has thousands of jumps where he's completely in the element air. I was in a cockpit, okay, with instruments, because I ask you, why do we need instruments in an airplane?
Well, that's to tell us where to go and to tell us how high we are.
Yeah, but because we are inside the box, if you close your eyes, you put your hand out of the window, okay, you have the sound of the engines, you know if it's going fast, you have the resistance, you have the temperature, you have everything on you.
You are your own...
You are the instrument.
The instrument.
Why do we put instruments inside of a cockpit? Because we are inside. I am outside. I don't need instruments. All the feelings we have, the sound, the temperature, the pressure, you feel it. you have just to wake up all these sensors again. But we have everything. That's a perfect fuselage.
You're jumping out, and obviously with Vince as well, you're actually moving in formation.
Yeah.
And recently there was a YouTube video about you and a Boeing Airbus.
An Airbus, yes.
Airbus, sorry, an Airbus. Can you tell us about that experience?
Yeah. It was very well prepared again. The idea came from a friend to match the smallest four-engine flying thing with the biggest. That's the main idea.
Okay.
Because it's kind of a
well,
contrast.
Juxtaposed next to each other, it's quite a contrast.
Yes. And we had in 2009 already the opportunity to go in Toulouse to do pictures where I did stand on the wing of an A380 just to give the scale.
Okay.
And I was not ready at this time to fly fast enough and safe enough close to that airplane. But the idea was here. So when we came to Dubai, and that's why again in Dubai they are very open-minded to have an airline, and it's not a small airline, that's Emirates, that's one of the biggest airlines in the world, that gives you an A380 for that challenge.
Wow.
That's the first thing. So you need open-minded people for that. And we came with that idea, and the first reaction, logically, it was, wow, it's crazy. Okay. And then through discussion, we did explain, yes, but we minimize the risk in everything. For example, you don't see that on the video, but we did fly only over water. So just in case of a horrible crash, everything will go in the water. Okay?
Okay.
So it was...
So for safety from the people.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because if you take risks, you should take risk only
on yourself, not on other people.
To others.
Fair enough.
That's
fair
also a basic thing. And thereafter, we have two big airports in Dubai, and we did fly just in between these airports over the sea. So it was also very big coordination, not to stop the traffic, but to keep an airspace that was just for us for the 25 minutes of the flight, totally, between the preparation, the flight itself, until we land. So really a big preparation. Also discussion with the test pilots from Airbus in Toulouse about how are the turbulences around that big guy. Because it's 350 tons.
The drag around those, I mean, if you get caught up in it, does that affect you in any way?
If you are in front of an engine, then you go out like a grilled chicken. You know, that's, it's not a good one.
Okay.
So we didn't pass the front line of the engine. So, okay. And through that study, and that's also as a fighter pilot before, I had that experience when you come to intercept these airliners, and so we had exercise like that. You know more or less where you shouldn't fly so that you don't get these turbulences. Of course. So we did recheck that with the test pilot in Toulouse, and we did briefings because we wanted to film that also. So we had a kind of business jet with a periscope camera under it that was following us the whole way. And we had two helicopters, one helicopter to drop us that did stay on top with photographers, and one with a stabilized camera that was on each side of the pattern that we did with the Airbus to film from far away with big zoom and so on. So all this coordinated, separated in altitude, really safety first, months of preparation, about 40% around that project, okay? 1 month of editing for that 1 minute 30 video, okay? Wow. So really a big project. So you see only the final product, and there is a video from Emirates. If you go on YouTube,
you will check it out.
Explaining the behind the scene, what is the preparation, also the briefing with the pilot, and That's a lot of preparation, and it's not just by chance that it works so good. Afterwards, you stick to the plan, and it works because they are professional and we are professional. So when you decide something on ground and you stick to it, then you are ready to go in the air, you do it, and it works. And that's what is also very gratifying.
Okay, but now we're going to get to the juicy bits here. All right, so from what I can understand, this is not something where you have jet engines on your wings and you can push a button and they shoot you up and then you can fly. This is something where you have to jump out of a helicopter or an aeroplane to get kick-started. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Why would that be the case?
Because
you need speed to get it going?
You need speed. Currently, we have enough power and we would have enough speed to take off. Okay? You put rolls or you go on the roof of a car, 170, 180 kilometers per hour, all the engines in green, okay, full thrust, you arch, and you climb.
So it could work off a car?
Yeah, tomorrow we can do that.
Oh, so you've done that before where you stand on top of a car?
No.
Oh, you haven't done that?
No.
But it can be done?
It could be done. It's just too dangerous.
Of course.
Okay? We don't want to kill ourselves.
Okay.
So, again, plan B is not ready. We have a dead zone. If you have an engine failure at that point when you go in the air, 50 meters after the takeoff, you have an engine failure. As we don't have a vertical rudder to stabilize that engine failure like you do in an airplane with the foot pedal, we don't have that. So when we lose an engine, the symmetric one, you have 4 engines. You lose one, the symmetric one cuts, but about 1/10 of a second later. But this yaw effect, losing one engine on one side, gives you an unwished roll. And that means instead to continue to climb, your final position is like that, at 50 meters ground. So you are dead. So we don't try. That's the status now. So the next step would be to have 99.999% of chance that you don't have an engine failure. Reliability first. That's the first thing. And afterwards, you can diminish the dead zone with a rescue parachute that opens lower than the actual 800 meters we have. So these are all options, and then you wait. Where is the
chances?
Okay. Where is the risk? The minimum, so that you can go. You are on a one-engine Piper takeoff, direction the sea. You have an engine failure. What do?
Well, you hope you're going to glide.
Yeah. Okay, you can glide. We cannot. It means we cannot.
Why can you not glide?
Because we don't. We could, but with an airplane, you have a minimum speed that is around, depending, a Piper is around less than 100 kilometers per hour. So, and you have box around you. That means you land on the water, you have quite many chance to survive. Okay, we have no box. We have a minimum speed of about 140, 150 kilometers per hour. So if you arrive gliding
and you hit that water,
it's
Newton's law of physics.
So there are so many parameters that you have that you should take in account before to do a stunt like that. That really we will continue to develop that step by step, safety first, and have fun and stay alive.
So let me get this right. When you jump out of the helicopter, how high are you?
We are about 5,000 feet, 5,500 feet. That's
about
1,600 meters.
Okay.
Okay.
But now, that distance, then you don't have any oxygen issues.
No. It's about 4,000 meters that you begin to have really issues with oxygen. So we are just with our integral helmet.
And then your body is used, because I've seen video clips where they put you in a wind tunnel, and do they put that smoke going around you so they can actually see the flow of the air?
No, we didn't do that. But
that would have been interesting to see how you actually steer.
Yeah, we did put how do you say wires on the wing, so that you see the flow on the wing, because the aerodynamic on the guy, it's bad.
Mine wouldn't be so good.
Yeah, okay. Or on your back.
You're on my back either.
Okay. But yeah, we are drag. So what was important was to see how on the wing was the flow, the airflow. So we did study that, and especially we did study also. I was hanging in the wind tunnel, and we did measure, depending of the angle of attack of the wing, all the forces that were present when I did the moves that I do to steer, like arching to go up. Right? It's like pulling on a stick, you arch. It's like the hand out of the window of your car. Huh? It goes up. You do like that, goes right. So with the shoulders, I did do all these moves with 250 kilometers per hour of wind, and we did measure everything, the forces. Wow. And the result, and that's interesting, because the result was that the wing I had, I did cross the channel, the English channel.
Yes, we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, and that wing was in the wind tunnel. I was laying down that wing. We did measure everything. Result of the study: unstable in yaw, unstable in roll, and just stable in pitch. That means, according to the engineers, it would be an airplane, it wouldn't fly.
That's
so
interesting.
This flexible fuselage adapts. So it's something between bird and airplane.
Wow.
You know, it's a flexible fuselage with fixed wing.
But it's instinct that you know where to move. Yeah. It's not like you sit there and go, well, if it's twisting a little bit to the left or right, I need to just kind of, I mean, you just do it by instinct.
Yes. Divers, scuba divers, they say we are coming from the fish. Okay? Mm-hmm. I say we are coming from the bird. It's really completely natural. You take any first skydiver, okay, first jump skydiver, with two instructors. That's an accelerated free fall course. Mm-hmm. Okay. Normally, in between 8-12 jumps, you can go alone after, because it's quite simple. And safe is to be stable at the opening of your parachute. Safety first. You should be, even if you roll like that, if you do that banana form that is stable in the air, you regain control and you are able to go and pull the handle to open your parachute. So after about 10-12 jumps, you are able to go alone. That's the instruction. At about the 4th or 5th jump, you ask the student to take a position of tracking, like these ski jumpers, like that, to go forward in the air. Every student does that completely naturally and flies. It's completely.
So we do have that instinct built in us.
Yes, it's kind of simple. You find your balance.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I think we should take a look at a replica of your wings, and you can talk us through how the whole thing works. And for those of you that are watching, I know we've got Jim Adams there from NASA. We have, let's see, Louise Morgan from Texas. We have Sebastian in India. We have, let's see, who else is there? Maria and her husband from Argentina. And, of course, we also have Dee in Nashville. And we have our audience here in Cape Town. We're just going to turn the camera around so that you can see the model. Let's have a look. There we go. Can you see? Yeah, they can see that? That's great. All right. And then you want to stand on this side, and then you can kind of tilt it, turn it this way. Let's see. Can you guys all see it? All right. So tell us a little about this whole setup.
Okay, that's mini-me. Okay. The most important part of that apparel is this. I did explain before that I did develop first a harness, a droppable harness, and that this famous handle that we should pull when we are completely unstable. That, especially at the beginning of the development, it was really learning by doing, learning by jumping. Uh, I had to use that about 15 times in the first 4 or 5 years. Now it's we had two more issues because of problems with our parachute opening, but it didn't come from the system of the wing. It came from the parachute. We had to release, but it works. That's our plan B. So a harness with 3 straps holding the guy in the harness, and yeah, the wing delta form with a auto-stable profile with kind of reflex behind, so that is auto-stable. The wing itself is stable, and it gives us lift. And what push us in the air are these engines.
Now, how heavy is that whole kit that you have to wear?
Okay, the kit itself is about 65 kilo.
Including a full fuel.
Yes.
And when it's empty?
We have about 30 kilos between fuel, 28 liters, and smoke.
Now,
about 5 liters of smoke.
If I do a very rough calculation, that means you can't be spending too much time in the air, because those are pretty small engines.
Yeah, and it uses a lot of fuel. It's kind of, I would say, physics. The smallest you become in aerodynamics, the less efficient you are. Okay, that's why also you would put a model of an A380. Okay, you cannot just take the percentage of the.
So there's not a ratio where you can bump it up.
The ratio is much less good on a small airplane than on a big airplane. Okay, so as we are small, and also the aerodynamic and the thermodynamic that are happening in these engines, the smallest you are using a lot of fuel for, or even these engines, they had 22 kilos each of thrust. Currently, we are using engines a little bit bigger than these ones that have 40 kilos of thrust. So we are using 28 liters of fuel in 10 minutes. So it's a lot.
Are you ever worried about one of those engines exploding?
Yes, and that's why we have, and it's the same on the airliners, we have these parts here that's Kevlar, bulletproof Kevlar, the same as the police has in the suits. Okay,
the bulletproof. Yeah.
So if it explodes, everything goes backwards.
Oh, backwards.
Okay, that means it doesn't come in our legs. And it's exactly the same on a Boeing, on an Airbus. If you have an engine explosion, they test that so that all the splitters, they are going there, not in the cabin.
Wow.
Okay. So I did
copy
some principles that are existing in aviation.
Why reinvent the bagel? I mean, if it exists, take advantage of all the safety features.
And the most important of all this, still now, parachute. Okay. One main parachute, one reserve parachute. And that's a standard.
Well, that, I mean, would make sense, because if you do have a problem and then you pull your parachute and there's a problem with the parachute, you don't have another plan after that.
Nope. So, yeah, that's more or less everything. Okay, I have also throttle. That's
little things in your fingers.
Yes.
I've seen in the video.
On the left is the radio. Okay, just a push button. It's very simple. On the right, it's a potentiometer. I'm giving more or less electricity, voltage to the pumps and the ECUs, electronic control units, that gives more or less power. So what is good is that it's very small, attached to these two fingers, so that you can regulate the power when you are like that, okay, from idle here to full trust, and you can continue to be adaptive in the air. And if you have to take the handles of your parachute, then you have still
you've got the flexibility,
yes, the flexibility and the access without the danger to take something else with you. When you would take, for example, what they have on paragliders, it's kind of brake of a bike, right? It's a big thing, but with that suddenly you go in a strap, and instead to be able to pull on one of your handles, you get stuck in the strap. These are also all details through discussions with friends that are experienced skydivers.
I'm sure.
Through incidents, accidents, you learn a lot, and that's also one of the points that I care about during this project. Still now, we are discussing with many people, also people that are not in the air business or in the air activities, because sometimes you are too much focused on your thing. You should stay open to every input, especially when it goes about safety.
What about 3D printing? Obviously, 3D printing is quite big at the moment.
Yeah.
Elon Musk, who is also ex-South African, is creating things for NASA, and they are 3D printing engines and rockets that they become very usable. Do you see your wings being 3D printed in various materials to obviously make it cheaper and probably more accurate when building?
Yes, but it's too early.
Too early.
Yeah, don't burn the steps. Currently, it's still very prototype, very experimental. That means it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. Vincent, he has 16,000 jumps. Okay, 1 month ago, he had an engine failure with this powerful engine, 40 kilos. We did loops together, and afterwards he did climb like that. And when you are slow, okay, he was slow, full thrust, and he did lose that engine. In the next second, he was in a spin, and unfortunately, we had also some electronic issues. The symmetric engine didn't go. That means you have one engine less here, and that one that continued. Yeah. So when you see the video of the guy, it was like Top Gun when you have the guy eject. I told him twice, hey, release. And he was high enough to regain control, because finally the symmetric engine did reduce to idle. But he had, that's a guy who is strong, young, sportler, okay? He had already the hand on the handle to release, and it became, at the beginning, he had to do like that to stay conscious. Wow. So it's not for everybody. You have, when everything goes well, it's okay. But we don't want that someone kill himself with that. And that's why we stay first a small group of experienced people with the goal to develop something that is more simple, safer, before to sell it and print it in 3D.
No, of course, but I mean, so what we're going to do is, why don't you come take a seat, and then we'll take some questions from the audience and also from overseas. I'm sure we've got some guests that would like to ask some questions. Okay. So we're going to put this over here. Let me just make sure that we are back in again. And let's just see if there were any questions along the way. If you guys have got any questions that you'd like to ask, just type it in the text over here, and we should be able to see it. And then if you guys have got any questions over here, oh, we have some questions. Fire away.
When I was younger, I read on Nicole's book, The Balloon Flight, and I was blown away by that book. It reminded me very much of him from an adventurous point of view and many other aspects. But I'm trying to understand, what is it in the Swiss psyche that drives such adventure?
In the Swiss side, so why is the Swiss just are that adventurous?
No, perhaps. Okay. In Switzerland, we.
Well, I mean, Swiss are generally only known for pen knives or the pocket knives,
Okay.
and for chocolates, watches, and cheese. So
Yeah.
what is so special? And efficiency. So why is it that Swiss, who are so well known for that, would be involved in such adventurous endeavors?
I have no explanation that is rational, but I can.
It's not rational.
But we don't have resources in Switzerland except our knowledge. Okay, we don't have petrol. We have some water reserves in the glacier that we could transform in electricity.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all. So the only thing that we have is more or less our knowledge, our quality of work, our high level of education. Our universities and schools are very good. It's well known. And when I compare with the different countries I've been, that's a fact. And that's also something that open a little bit the possibilities of doing things, because it's very large. Okay, it's not only on a domain specialized on one domain. It's very large, from mechanic to electronic to a little bit everything. Okay, so when you have that base of knowledge, then when you have an idea, you are perhaps better able to go to the end of
tools
this.
in your toolbox.
Yes, you have more tools in your toolbox than
exactly.
perhaps in other countries where you have resources, ground resources, yeah.
It does help that he's a little bit crazy as well, but maybe only a little bit.
That could be an explanation. I don't know.
Okay, we're going to get to Mike in a second. Louise from the US wants to know, she's in Texas, she wants to know, obviously it's a very expensive endeavor.
Yes.
How are you financing the whole thing?
Okay, from the beginning, and that's also a good question, because at the beginning, for 13 years, I was my own sponsor. Okay?
And that
expensive.
means
that's expensive, but also I had many friends.
So you have Swiss bank accounts, they want to know.
Yes, I'm Swiss. But don't think that all Swiss are billionaires.
Okay.
I'm not a billionaire.
Okay.
Because, you have these kind of standard picture. Swiss bankers,
preconceived ideas of Swiss bank accounts.
SBB, Swiss banker billionaire. No. It's
So you obviously self-funding, but then
yeah, I was an airline pilot, so instead to buy a nice car every 2 years, I did invest in my passion, in my project. Okay, and afterwards I did find sponsors, but sponsors, they are coming when it works only, because it's not a donor.
They want
It's not a donor, a sponsor. That's someone who wants a return of his investment, of course, through publicity, visibility in the media, and then. So when it did function, it worked, then I did found a Swiss watchmaker, first Hublot, who did participate. Parallel to that, I had the chance to find a donor. That person could pay the aerodynamic study. Just that you have an idea, an aerodynamic study in a wind tunnel of 7 meters wide, 5 meters in height, and you have 250 kilometers per hour of wind.
Sure.
The study before the measures, the measures 2 days in the wind tunnel, and the study after, all done by engineers,
That's
high qualified, $100,000.
And in rand, it's about a billion rand. Yeah, so exchange rate is ridiculous.
Yeah, but to say yes, it is expensive, and that's why I had the chance to find a donor, because of the fantastic. He found the project nice, and parallel to that sponsoring, okay, I could continue slowly like that. And I had 1 year without sponsor, but I did cross Gibraltar with a company that gave me just the right amount to continue. Okay.
But now that trip to Gibraltar wasn't as successful as you'd hoped. No, something went wrong.
Something went wrong. I did misjudge the weather, and okay, to keep it short, instead to be really focused on my flight, I was giving interviews just before. Okay,
so we are doing this after, not before. Okay, yeah.
Now that's also something that I've learned through that bad experience. Yeah.
And what actually happened?
So I had, because of that change of wind that we didn't register, because of that these interviews and so, I had to exit lower than usual, and there were clouds. So I had to go, I couldn't go left or right of the clouds, I had to go above the cloud. And incline, heavy at the beginning of the flight, okay, very close to the stall speed, okay. I had the clouds there, yeah, it's okay, and I knew there are turbulences on top of clouds.
And you can't see anything.
No, but you come just at the limit of the stall, on top of the clouds, turbulence, stall, spin, in clouds. And in clouds, it's everywhere gray. You lose very soon where you are.
Your orientation of where you are.
Orientation, yeah. And spinning, okay, at some point I did feel that the spin, it was not turning anymore, so I did regain speed just with feeling, with seeing only gray. But the altitude was still okay, and thinking, okay, I will regain speed, arch, and climb, and somewhere I will come out of the clouds again. Most probably I did something like that. And the next thing was blue, my audible altimeter telling me my minimum altitude at 800 meters. Now I did exit the clouds, high speed, around 250 plus kilometers per hour.
And you were going straight for the water.
Blue, beep, 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 beep. You should do something. So I did release the wing and pull my pressure, and then land on the water.
Do you have
I had a life vest. I did follow as a fighter pilot sea survival courses. so yeah, prepare. Okay. Yeah, I was okay, but I had to cut away my parachute in the water because it was pulling me like that. And so afterwards, I did use that switch. That is a kind of emergency emitter. You release, you pull the antenna, and then you wait like that in the water. To keep your warmth, okay, until the helicopter starts. Wow, about half an hour.
Quite half an hour in the water.
Yeah, and in big waves. So that's kind of
it wakes you up to think about what you're going to do next.
But then B and C, rescue with helicopter, did function. So, you know, it's not just by chance.
It's better that your systems in place actually work.
Yeah, you cannot avoid that tomorrow you have something. But everything you can do, you should do it. And don't take the luck in the briefing.
No, but I like the fact that safety comes first. Now, Mike, you had a question?
If I remember correctly, at the 1984 Los Angeles trip, man was a jetpack. How did that operation differ from yours?
Yes, very different. That works with hydrogen peroxide, H2O2, and through a catalysator, it's transformed each second 1 liter of hydrogen peroxide in steam. Okay, so you get through 2 small exits like that about 180 kilos of thrust. Okay, but every second you are using 1 liter, and the density is 1.2. So that means
you're not going to be
heavy.
You're not going to very, very long.
So
and
the
it's
fuel
heavy.
is not very efficient. That fuel is less efficient as kerosene. So that's why these guys, they fly only for about 30 to 40 seconds. And then after you have to land because your tank is empty. So, but it did work very well. Very simple principle. And no aerodynamics. It's just you are standing on or hanging on 2 points, 2 push points of 180 kilopower of thrust. So you are kind of flying ambos. Right? You cannot glide or like that. So it was quite different. Now there is a guy that we are in contact with him, also David Mayman, who did with that was the rocket bell. Now there is a jet bell with also 2 engines like ours, a little bit bigger. With 2 engines, he's able to do the same, but for 10 minutes. Okay, but again, he has no plan B, so he flies over water. Okay,
and he just hopes for the best.
Yeah, but something in between what he has and what we have, because we are able to fly high, but we fly and fast, and only with our body. He's able to start from the ground. So to mix these two things would be the goal. Autonomous from the ground, safe, and then fly like birds. That would be the final
interesting.
You're trying to make Iron Man.
Yeah, like Iron Man.
Yes.
It'll happen.
Give me the battery,
Yes.
and we do the
Like an arc reactor.
Okay, we've got a couple of questions. Jesse, you had a question? Did you become the Jetman to leave a legacy or to enjoy life?
Both.
To do both?
Yeah. At the beginning, ego. It was for me. Really, frankly, it was first for me. I didn't think I will give something to mankind. Huh? First, you try to do something fun. Because, oh yeah, it could be good, okay, you try, friends, you create something, and yeah, it's fun, and you are also happy that you have recognition from the others. No, I got a diploma from His Highness Duke of Edinburgh.
Wow.
Okay. Huh?
Yeah,
Ego, it's good for your ego. And afterwards, you ask yourself, okay, lucky. So, very lucky. No, and what next? Also, you should give back. Thank you, the Big Bird. I had that chance to live that fantastic life that I had up to now. You know, fighter pilot was my dream. I could do that. Airline to discover the world. Now, Jetman. Well, I'm a lucky guy. And that's now with a little bit more years in my rucksack. I think it could be good to give back. Huh?
And that's also one of the reasons why you have Vince joining you as well,
yes,
to pass on the baton.
Pass the baton. Yeah, really, because I'm 57 now, and that's a physical activity. And I see Vince flying, and you know, I see a little bit myself 27 years ago. Okay. Really full of energy and reflex also, and he's much more adaptive than me. So you feel that's also the moment slowly to not to stop, because I can still fly and I have fun to that.
But you'll know where your limit is.
Yes, and it will come naturally. Naturally, okay, one day.
You want to ask a question, Carl? No? Another one? Yeah.
Let's start with that. What kind of exercise do you do mostly? Cardio or more kind of strength training?
Nothing special. I try to have fun during my physical activity. For example, if it's winter and I have the opportunity to ski, I go for ski. Gym is the last thing I try to do, because it's compared to skydiving. Gym is just the opposite. You have a maximum of effort for a minimum of fun. So skydiving is just the opposite. You have a maximum of fun with a minimum of effort. So I'm a lazy guy.
But now I read that you into kiteboarding as well.
Yeah.
And you know that we've got a very, very wonderful spot. Have you seen it yet?
Yeah, I've seen some pictures of the last
I'll
competition.
show some more photos.
They are going very high.
Very.
High. They fly for some moments. Huh? It's beautiful.
Some of them are going up 80 meters.
Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy.
But that doesn't scare you.
Yeah, I would be. I do jumps now with the kite about 3-4 meters, and I'm like that before the landing, you know. So I cannot imagine to be 50 meters plus under a kite like that
with no wings and no parachute.
Yeah. So, but these kind of activities, it gives you strength, reflex, fun. I try to do that as much as possible.
Okay, so we got one question here, and then we're going to take one or two questions. I know maybe, Maria, does your husband have a question in Spanish that you might want to translate? So we'll come to you now in a second. Carl, what was your question?
So you were talking earlier about perhaps, Steve, you were saying about the challenging the supersonic bloodhound thing. And you were saying that's very far off. So I would personally think that eventually someone is going to achieve that sort of supersonic version of what you're doing. Do you think that will be you, or is it going to have to be someone else?
We'll see. I don't think that it's for tomorrow. Just because
What would happen to the body if you went supersonic?
Yeah, okay, depending again of the altitude.
Well,
but for sure,
didn't Felix jump?
Yeah.
And didn't he go supersonic?
Yeah, there were no molecules at this altitude.
Okay.
Zero. So
Could you do it like a halo jump, a high altitude, low oxygen jump? So you have some kind of life support suit, and then there is some enough air for lift and jetting.
yeah.
Something to that effect?
Yeah.
Somewhere in between Felix and Lulu?
For example, with the engine that we have now, the 40 kilos from JetCat, they are pushing drones, target drones for, the military guys. They need targets to shoot from. It's kind of cheap target. With these engines, they put a model of 2 meters like our wing, but much more aerodynamic. With 2 engines at 900 kilometers per hour at 9,000 meters. Okay, so it works.
Okay, so those engines are able to function at those altitudes.
Exactly. The engines are able to function at these altitudes, but it is an aerodynamic structure. We are a drag structure. So that's why also when I can tell you when you are 300 plus kilometers per hour, you feel the pressure.
You need the high altitude to avoid that.
And afterwards you need oxygen and pressurize the fuel, because through the less pressure that you have, it's the same experience when you do the vacuum water. It's cold water, but it's bubbling. So the fuel becomes exactly the same. So bubbles in the fuel, engine failure, problems. So it's not for tomorrow.
Not for tomorrow. So now we have Maria and her husband. As you can see, if you look in the background there, Maria's husband is a modelist. He's very enthusiastic. He might be a bit shy. I don't know if he's going to come into the picture. Maria, is your mic on? You can unmute yourself.
Hi.
Hello, Maria.
Greetings from Argentina.
In Argentina.
Okay.
Okay. So, does your husband have a question you'd like to ask?
Yeah, he wanted to know. Once you eject, do you just stop?
When you eject, do you lose the wings, or is there a way to track them? Is there a parachute? What happens?
Okay, there is a rescue parachute for the wing. That's a very simple system. We attach a wire to the harness that is on us, and this wire is closing an elastic container that contains the parachute. That means when we release the wings, we take the harness and this wire with us, the elastic container opens, the air takes the parachute and inflates the parachute for the wing. So it's an very simple automatic opening of the rescue parachute of the wing.
Okay. She's on mute, so we couldn't hear her. All right, I'm afraid we've run out.
What's amazing about he was amazed to see that there is nothing left to chance here. Everything is so controlled, so thought over. He was telling me how amazing this all is and how admirable everything is. And congratulations and wow.
Thank you. Thank you very much. But again, we are not. I did try to adapt what I've learned in aviation to that project. Okay. Until the surprise, we had many surprises. Despite the fact that we try to plan everything, and so you have surprises.
Mother Nature sometimes has tricks up her sleeve.
Yeah. Sometimes it's good to say no.
Okay. All right. So we've run out of time for the live broadcast, so we're going to end the live broadcast over here. We want to thank all our participants that took part from around the world and all our audience members over here. I just want to quickly get a photograph of Sebastian there. Sebastian in India. There we go. And he says, thank you for sharing your experience. And of course, Jim from NASA says, thank you very much. It was fun. And we're just going to get one of us two. So we're going to move in and look at the camera over here. And we're going to go. You guys, we can get a bit of a selfie. You guys can be in there as well. Whoops, hold on. There we go. Can we get you all in? There we go. And there we go. One more. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to stop the broadcast over here.